you can see, we're back in the bait cave today, and on today's video we're going to be doing pretty much a versus, which is cast aluminum versus a CNC version mold. And pretty much we're going to go over some of the pros and cons of both. One of the bigger pros of a CNC that we just showed you, of the lizard or the CNC. Let's see if we can't get a good non-shiny view of it. But of the CNC, everything's an aluminum finish, so it's CNC'd out, it's milled out. So that's how the CNC works. Where cast is pretty much, it's also aluminum, but what happens is these are, what do you call them? What are they called? They're like the masters. That's what they're called. They're called masters. So there'd be a bunch of masters laid out. So they have basically a bunch of replicas of these. They lay them out, and then they cast the aluminum around it. So they mold the aluminum around it rather than it being milled out. So it takes a little less time and a little less effort to make these, I guess, whereas this has a lot more time put into it, machining out, making sure everything is spec'd out. Where this is, it's made sure everything works and runs, but it's not milled out. It's not a smooth finish. You get kind of a rough finish to it. So that kind of ends up coming through to the end product, which is you'll have a little bit rougher finish on your cast, where you'll have a smoother, glossy finish to your CNC. So, and we decided to go with both do-it bait molds. One of them is a CNC, one of them is a do-it cast. So we get a good comparison. We don't want to really compare brands. We want to compare CNC to cast. So what is good is they typically have the same function, like nothing really changes from cast to CNC. Still inject, still have a pour, you still need to top it off on both of them. One thing to watch out for on like certain things and certain brands and companies and whatever, you want to make sure when you top it off to kind of top it off good. You don't want to just fill it to the top and call it good, because sometimes that plastic sucks down, and especially the colder it is, that plastic sucks down and sucks into those baits and fills those baits out. So you want them to fully fill out. So you want to make sure you top them off real good. So that's kind of some of the flaws, whereas like CNC, sometimes they end up milling out a bigger sprue or whatever to allow you to not accidentally underfill, if that makes sense. So just certain little things to watch out for when you're looking at these, because one of the other big factors is price. Where this one for a 2 cavity was 60-70 bucks, I think, like that. I might can throw a picture up on the video to show y'all. Where this one was 45-50 with shipping. So also 60-70, whatever I just said, plus shipping. So you gotta factor that in. But there's a little bit of a price jump when you decide to go to a CNC version. And sometimes there's a cavity difference. Like this is a 5 cavity for the $40, $50 price, where this is only a 2 cavity for the $60-$70 price. So that is something to look into, because they both function. They are both baits. They both work. You can use both of them, both catch fish. Do you want a smoother injecting mold and just a quality product, or do you want something that's going to get it done, make baits on the side, and you will have baits to reuse? It's all on preference and what you're going to do with them. So I would advise, if you were going to sell baits, that you would use a CNC. You can sell baits with this, because a finish necessarily isn't the biggest matter. If you have a really good color that stands out to people and looks good to people, they will buy it. But if you want a smoother finished product and more like your store-bought looking product, then you kind of want to go towards the CNC. But if you're just home making baits and you're just shooting them in your garage, you're remelting your plastics, your old baits, and you just want to make some new ones and not have to spend money, you can go with these cast aluminum cheaper molds and just get you a bunch of them compared to the what you would spend on some of these to have a little bit qualiter bait or a little bit finer tuned, I should say. It's not necessarily going to be always more quality, because I mean, I'm pretty sure they have this exact finesse crawler in the CNC version, which the only thing that would really change in that is how smooth the finish is. So that's what you have to go off of. The bait's still going to function, but do you want the smooth finish or the dulled out, rougher finish? And we will shoot some baits to show y'all. And we're just going to take a color. We got some white chalked up here from just recent stuff, just doing whatever, that we'll shoot through these and give y'all a closer idea of what they look like. But that is to give y'all an idea. So you're looking at about 60 to 70, maybe even 80. I gotta look. I'll even throw it up on the screen for y'all, hopefully. And you got 45, 50, 60, somewhere in there once you include shipping. So we'll throw that in there, and we'll get some of these shot up. We'll go ahead and heat this plastic and get some of these shot up, and then we will show you kind of the difference, the finish, I guess. Because you're really not comparing how well one bait works over the other, because they're both baits. They're both going to work. They're going to both work in their own situations, because one's obviously a lizard and one's a worm. But we're more looking at the finish and, hey, do I want a good finish, or would I be alright with just using this? So pretty much that's what we're going to use, and we're going to show y'all pretty much, can I get what I want and not break the bank, or can I get quality stuff and spend a little bit more money? So that's what we're going to do here today. Alright guys, so you can see we got this white mixed up. I think it's just a white with a silver flake. Yep, that's exactly what it is, just a white with a silver flake. And we're not too worried about getting all the bubbles out. We're not trying to compare that and how clean, da-da-da-da-da. A little bit of bubbles isn't going to mess that up too much. But we're going to try to shoot this into both of these and get a comparison for y'all, show y'all that, and then we'll end out this video for y'all. That way you'll know if you want to spend more money and get a CNC, or if you think you could just do it with the cast. So that's what we're going to do, the cast aluminum. Alright guys, so we're ready to shoot. We got our injector here. We're going to fill it on up. Fill it all the way up. We're going to try to do both of these in one go. So we're going to do the lizards first, the CNC. Just kind of want to push till it stops. And with this being a 2 cavity, it stops pretty quick. You hold it there for a second. Make sure it fills out all the little appendages, because there is appendages on this one. So top it off, and then we're going to go on to the finesse crawler. We're going to go ahead and push off into there. Oop. And you just want to make sure you hold it real nice and good, and make sure you get a good, nice feel. Hopefully these all turned out nice. It's a little chilly today, so hopefully everything being a little bit cold doesn't interfere too much. I tried to get the plastic a little bit warmer to help with that, but sometimes it's a guessing game still. So we got those filled up, topped off, and we're going to let them cool off. It shouldn't take too long with it being cooler out here. So we'll get back to y'all pretty quick. Alright guys, so we got both the molds cooled off and ready to open for you. So we're going to go ahead and open them up. And first we're going to start with the cast. And as you can see, we have one that didn't shoot, but the rest of them filled out just fine. So what we're going to do, we're just going to pick one off of here. Kind of show it off to you guys. So as you can see, it doesn't really get that smooth, shiny finish that others get, that other baits get, you know, that you would buy from the store, because it's cast. It's got that little bit of a, it's really hard to see, but it's just not as smooth, is the easiest way to put it. It's not smoothed out because it's cast aluminum. So we're going to open up the CNC, the lizard mill, and we're going to show y'all. So this one does have a bit of texturing, so it may not necessarily look smooth. It's got a little bit of a ribbing effect going on there. So there will be a little bump, but it is a lot more well, in the tail it's smoother, there's less ribbing effect, but as you can see it's a lot smoother. There's a little more detail through it. The head's even got little eyes, as you can see, so there's a little more detail throughout a CNC compared to the cast aluminum. But then again, it all comes to preference. You don't need the CNC to catch fish. The cast aluminum works just fine. It's all on how you want your baits to come out in the finished product. But just like most things, it's preference. I wouldn't go with any of the cheaper. I wouldn't go anything non-aluminum, because then you're going to run into a little bit of troubles with plastic sticking, plastic getting too hot for the mold, stuff like that. So stick with your aluminums. If you're going to go with a mold, stay with your cast or your CNC. Don't try to vary outside of that. I mean, you can always give it a shot, but I do not recommend it. And preferably you would stay with your plastic brand type glitters. I mean, you can obviously go and use some Walmart stuff, but I wouldn't necessarily use that in products that you would sell. You want to stick with your lure work, and this is some dead on that I just put in a jar. Same with colorants. You got lure works, and then we got some dead on. You kind of want to stay inside your baits, the recommended stuff for that, so that you're not getting failures. Same with plastics. You want to go with a dead on plastic. You want to go with do it plastic, some sort of plastisol. You don't want to go off the wall. I wouldn't recommend trying to just buy something off Amazon and going with that. You want to look into it pretty well. But as for molds, stick to the aluminum and you'll be good. And from there, it's kind of preference on how well you want your bait to turn out, because they're all fishable, they're all useful, they all catch fish, and it's as simple as that. But as you can see, we'll hold these two up, compare these two as close as we can. This one just doesn't have, I mean, there's not much difference. So this just doesn't come out as smooth and as finished, and this comes out a little shinier and glossier. So that's what you got. They both shoot, they both work. The only failure we had was in this one, and it's probably just because some plastic got too cold too quick, because it's in the 50s today. So we tried to get everything hot enough to shoot. Didn't quite work out, but other than that, everything went well, and we'll be glad to bring y'all more videos, and subscribe for more. And if y'all want to see anything else, just let me know in the comments, and we're out.